वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योगा शिक्षार्थमेक पुरुष पुराना श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीर धारी कृपा बुद्धिर्य तमहं प्रपद्ये मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणम् वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, warm welcome everyone in the study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So today we'll start with chapter 17, text 1 onwards, beginning of chapter 17, chapter entitled Divisions of Faith. And now, faith is something interesting, and even more interesting. Like in India, throughout India and worldwide, also, but more so, say in the subcontinent of India, the word devotion is very popular. Hmm? What we hear is devotion, devotion, devotion. Bhakti means devotion. This is what we hear. Oh, so much love and devotion, devotion. Have we heard devotional service? No. As a common theme, it is not at all a common theme, say terminology or thought in India, devotional service. And Prabhupada, in his writings, teachings in Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Yoga, na? Yoga means Bhakti Yoga only. Yoga means love. Yoga means what? Connection. Connection can be had out of love only. Proper connection. Connection is there out of some duty bound and all other things, but real connection is out of love only. Uh, so Bhakti Yoga or Yog means what? Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means what? Loving devotional service. Not just devotion. Devotion becomes more like, say, sentimental thing. But how do we express the devotion through service? And service means loving service, lovingly. How do I express, channelize the devotion by doing something, na? By acting. So Arjuna, did he fight? He fought. Did he fought out of duty or out of love? This is a question. What do you say, Noni? Arjuna fought out of duty or out of love? Uh, Out of Renas, Harsha, Deepti, Anuja, Aishwarya, what do you all say others? Arjuna, did he fight out of duty or out of love?
Out of love.
Aishwarya?
Out of duty, sorry.
I think out of duty. So basically, both
Hmm.
duty and love. You can't really like out of his love for Krishna and duty to support his brothers. Like,
हाँ, वेरी नाइस, वेरी नाइस. देखो, जहाँ पे भी प्रेम है ना, वहाँ ड्यूटी इंक्लूडेड है. Where there is love, duty is already included in there. When one is in love, one would not neglect duty or one would not exclude duty. Duty is included. Mm. So he fought out of love and duty was included in it. Our problem is what? We love the world. We love worldly attachments. We love the world. And when it comes to Bhagwan, when it comes to spirituality or Krishna for that matter, then we act at duty bound. हाँ, Okay, morning before breakfast, let me go take darshan. घर पे ही मंदिर है. Let me go to the temple in the house altar, take darshan and offer an incense like that. So when it comes to loving devotion and all, then we just go at the highest is duty level. And when it comes to loving, we love our material attachments, material desires, and our life very much. But Krishna consciousness teaches opposite. Arjuna did what? He loved Krishna. He fought out of love for Krishna and fulfilled his Kshatriya duty. Hmm. Likewise, we should be acting in world. out of love for Krishna, out of love for Guru and Gaurang, and fulfilling our worldly duties, performing our worldly duties, but love for Krishna, not the other way. That okay, Bhagwan ke liye duty, okay, fine, God help me get this job, and you help me get this job. So as a duty, it becomes my duty to go and take darshan in temple, and do something. And what I love my job and I love my other things. No, not that way. So we have to learn how to love Krishna and respect our duty carefully, follow our duty, do our duty. And come a time will come then that everything we'll do is love only and full proper Krishna consciousness. One day we might turn 40. One day we might turn 50. Huh? Believe it or not, Renas, he's already 20. Renas, you are 20 now, right? Look. So one day we will be 30, 40, 50, 60. Now how would you like to see yourself 60? Just like any other old grandmother stuck up in sari and jewelry? Hmm? How? Just like any other old grandmother stuck up in uh, family gossips? How, where? And work has to be done now. Hmm? So Krishna prepared Arjuna for the war. Not just for the war, for life, eternity. Prepared him before the war. So before we also go in our worldly duties or any of our things, first is giving oral reception to the message of Krishna. Hmm. Preparing ourselves also. So Prabhupada, yoga means bhakti yoga, loving devotional service, not just devotion. Devotion as such means nothing if it is not service oriented. If there is no element of service for the joy and pleasure of others. This is why Krishna Arjuna fought as a loving devotional service to Krishna. So with this hope, mood, aspiration, prayer, that our life becomes service, a loving devotional service to the service of Guru and Gaurang, and in which the worldly welfare is very tremendously included. Hmm. So with that hope, mood, prayer, aspiration, we continue our study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text 1 onwards. We'll see chapter entitled The Division of Faith. Arjuna Uvacha Ye शास्त्रविद्धिमुत्सृज्य यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विता तेषां निष्ठा तु का कृष्ण सत्वम् आहो. Okay, Renas or someone, if they can share screen and read translation and purport. Chapter 17, text 1. Look, the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, na? All these shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, they can be sung. And they are sung. Devotees, they recite them, they sing them. Now look, when Krishna and Arjuna were speaking and all, it was in that sweet tone altogether, in front of a war, and they are having this loving exchange. What does this imply? That there could be a war in front of our eyes. Life is no less than a Mahabharat for all of us. It is no less than a Mahabharat. But uh, when we listen to Bhagavad Gita from devotees, then it will be very uh, sweet. And even though stuck up in some say life crisis and thing, but we will find very relishing, saturating, nourishing. Life will take a different U-turn altogether, different trajectory altogether. Arjuna did not know what he is going into, what was coming ahead of him. He went into the war very unprepared. Very unprepared. No? He went into the war. So, but this dialogue prepared him from the war, for the war. Because war or life in general is not like about acquiring the skill set, having the proper skill set. Mm. It is acquiring the inspiration, the vision, uh, why to fight. Like he was asking university students yesterday actually that we get many questions in life, na? How to do this, how to live life, when to live life, where to live life, uh, and what to live life in, and what whom live for, why to live life. Say, of all these questions, why is the most important one? To be clear of why I am doing this, why to do this, why to not do this. Once the why is more and more settled, we will easily find more and more charm in life. Okay, so maybe Renas can read translation, text 117 chapter, and Aishwarya read purport.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Should I share the screen as well, maybe?
If you can share, then share, or if someone can share, then share screen.
Okay, I will try sharing. Is this the one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So translation. Arjuna inquired, "O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scriptures but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance?"
Purport. In the fourth chapter, 39th verse, it is said that a person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. In the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow the principles laid down in the scriptures is called an asura, demon, and one who follows the scriptural injunctions faithfully is called a deva or demigod. Now, if one with faith follows some rules which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions, what is his position? This doubt of Arjuna's is to be cleared by Krishna. Are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Do such persons attain the
Read
perfectional
that
stage of
sentence
life?
again.
Yeah.
Read that sentence again. Are those, huh?
Okay. Are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness or passion or ignorance? Do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves to the highest perfectional stage? Do those who do not follow the rule and regulations of the scriptures, but who have faith in something that and worship gods and demigods and men attain success in their efforts? Arjuna is putting these questions to Krishna.
Renas read translation, or Aishwarya read translation.
Translation. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scriptures but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance?
The Pretty much society is stuck up in this only
Yeah.
imagination. Mm,
Yeah.
uh, Pretty much the now again someone may find that I speak a bit rude or rough or like but if you see na practically what to say if I have to put a number 70% of India is wrapped up in this worshipping according to imagination, huh? To their own imagination or 60% or 80%, but a good chunk, easy a good chunk, and not just like India for that matter, worldwide, wherever people want to create their own. Okay, screen share can be removed. People want to create their own understanding of God, na? Own imagination, own style, own method, and manufacture. Baba, God is something that one cannot manufacture. God is someone who is God since eternity. Mm. God is a position which is irreplaceable. That is something which can never be replaced. So there is nothing we have to manufacture. Like Prabhupada, he gave us Bhagavad Gita, na? And Bhagavad Gita, what does Prabhupada say? Like beautiful. His throughout his claim is what that if at all only credit I have is I did not change anything. Mm. What I heard from my Guru Maharaj, I am giving you the same message, which is coming actually directly from Krishna, unadulterated. अब देखो in when not in love, so to eat someone remnants is very horrible when not in love with someone. But when in love with someone, we want to share the remnants of that person. Hmm? Like children, mother, parents normal naturally share the remnants of their children, and there's nothing weird or awkward for them. Yeah. Mm. And because there's love, same only that ways. So now this remnants, Lord Krishna spoke this same message to Arjuna, which is coming down in disciplic succession. Lord Krishna gave the same Bhagavad message to Brahmaji. Brahmaji gave it to Narada. Narada gave it to Vyasdev. And like this Guru Parampara chain is coming on. Prabhupada received from his spiritual master. And likewise we are receiving. And the more we receive, the more kind of say receiving, the more all the acharyas are blessing us. When we study Bhagavad Gita, so much of blessing on the way. So actually, it is all in paradox, Krishna consciousness. The one who is very bottom of the mercy ladder, he receives the most. Hmm. Just like in family also, na, generally we see the one who is young, the youngest in the family receives say the most love or the most gifts. Oh, such young is the youngest, so he receives most love, care. Likewise in bhakti, na, the one who is more lowly, say the one who is more uh, servant, say he receives the more and more mercy. There are two things in life. Now check this out. Again, see where would we want to see ourselves. Everyone likes seniority, right? And in every in every society, seniority there is good respect for them. There is good arrangement for them. Hmm? So one is senior in service, in attachment, senior in loving service, senior in loving attachment towards Krishna, towards Guru and Gaurang. Another is senior in sins. Hmm? One is senior in service, another is senior in sins, or senior in imagination, concoction. Where would we want to go towards? Senior in service or senior in just loose talk, senior in sinning or senior in any other worldly affairs. Everywhere it's made up, man made. Such a unfortunate thing. Men, they are made as gods, they are treated as gods, and they are worshipped as God. So, to a human being, we rank him or her as God and worship him or her as God. And when God personally descends, Krishna says, na, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So, when God personally descends, we label him as a mere human being. Look at our rascaldom. A cheap, filthy human, conditioned. To him or her, we rank as God and worship as God. We are ready to give our life, dedicate ourselves fully. uh, And ultimately, what do we, it is observed, na? What do we learn, discover later on? Okay, that God, he actually had a stomach problem. He's suffering dysentery. Huh? He's having loose motions. He's having runs, as they say. Huh? Or what? Oh, that God, he is having knee replacement. He fell down. He broke his teeth. All such things. Or what do we hear? Oh, that God, he ran away with money, or he ran away with woman, Hmm. or he's into drugs, uh, all such things. So this is humans, cheaters following cheaters. Those who are humans, we make them as God and treat them as God very much. And when God personally descends, we label him as a mere human being. And we say that, oh, Krishna, he was a very evolved person. Now look, it may sound like as if a praise, but it is one is professing or advocating or one is showing his stupidity. If someone has genuinely understand the personality, Krishna, supreme personality of Godhead, and then one comes and says, yes, Krishna was a very evolved human being, very evolved man. That's very deep irony. Mm. One is showing his foolishness out of it. So this is what is happening. We call a human being God and we call God a evolved person. And we'll see more of this in this chapter, division of faith. How kind Arjuna is that he's asking these questions for our benefit, putting forward us these questions for our benefit. And look at how Bhagavad Gita is na, the thread. Krishna said in previous chapter, those who do not follow the scriptural injunctions live by their own whims. They never experience peace, satisfaction, happiness in this life, and what to speak of next. So we'll be haunted. A doubting soul will always be in trouble, will always be haunted. We believe we don't know, but we are carrying doubts in ourselves. We are carrying restraints in ourselves. We do not know, but we are harboring, or we are harboring material attachment. Only problem is we are not simple, we are not honest, we are not integral, integrity. For someone who is simple and honest, then yes, he has attained Krishna. Attained Krishna. Someone who is non-duplicit, he has attained Krishna. He will enjoy life like anything who is non-duplicit. But someone who is duplicit will struggle a lot. Okay, let us read maybe a couple more and then see. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Trivida Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Cheva Tamasi Chetitam Shrinu. Okay, Harsha, can you read translation? Anuja, read purport. Or Anuja, read translation. Harsha, read purport.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now hear about this.
Anuja, continue purport.
Purport. Those who know the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but out of laziness or indolence give up following these rules and regulations, are governed by the modes of material nature. According to their previous activities in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, they acquire a nature which is of a specific quality. The association of the living entity with the different modes of nature has been going on perpetually. Since the living entity is in contact with material nature, he acquires different types of mentality according to his association with the material modes. But this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and the scriptures. Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to goodness or from passion to goodness. The conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. One has to consider things carefully with intelligence in association with a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. The Supreme Personality
Uh,
of Godhead.
Read that sentence again. One has to consider things.
One has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now, hear about this.
Hmm. What do you think? Are we influencer or we are influenced? This is a question. Are we influencer or we are influenced?
Hare Krishna.
Influence.
Yeah, I think we are influenced, but everyone's really want to become an influencer. So especially on the social media.
Okay. Harsha, Deepti, any others, any thought? Pipnoni. Are we influencer or influenced?
Prabhuji mostly influenced, and I don't know if people are getting influenced by us. We don't know about it sometimes.
Hmm. One who is within the modes of material nature, na? He is influenced only. He is hardly an influencer. One who is caught up in the modes of material nature, Rajogun, Tamogun, Satogun, na? One who is living with deep material identity or living in material identity, he is not an influencer, he is influenced only. And even if he influences someone else also, the other is also influenced only. But all under the modes of material nature. Who is an influencer? Prabhupada was an influencer. One who is above the modes of material nature is an influencer. One who is one who is outside the modes only can pull us out. Not someone who is inside the modes can really pull us out. This society, everyone is influenced only by the modes of material nature. And now we want to be influenced, but by the modes of spiritual nature, the modes of transcendental nature. And in transcendental, it is one mode only. What is that mode? Love, attachment, bonding, loving devotional service. It is one mode only there. So, spirituality, real Krishna consciousness begins when we take devotee association. when we follow in the footsteps of a devotee, when we follow in the footprints of a devotee, when we idolize a devotee, when we start valuing a devotee, not just appreciating. See, there are stages. What? One is admiration. I admire Bhagavad Gita. I admire Krishna consciousness. I admire what Prabhupada has done. Huh? I admire Prasadam. I admire Japa Kirtan or what you are doing, preaching and all. I admire devotees. Admiration is good. But what does admiration mean? Okay, I admire from a distance. Hmm. I admire, but I do my own thing. I'm my own style, own way. But yes, good for you. I have respect for you. So fine, admiration is okay, but admiration does not carry much power, does not carry much substance. Next is what? After admiration, hmm, then closely say, okay, closely associate also. First I admire, then what? What do I do? Generally speaking, people they do not even admire first. First they find problems. First they find problems that oh, why do you do this? Oh, this is institutionalization and so many such things. But when later on, when they see okay others are being very fixed up, then they try to draw some inspiration and admiration, and then they start asking questions. Then they want to follow as well. They want to practice. So we just don't want to stuck ourselves at admiration level. Oh, Hare Krishna, very good. I admire Hare Krishna. I admire Bhagavad Gita. What admiration, Baba? You admire Bhagavad Gita and you go watch cinema, na? You admire Bhagavad Gita and then what do you do? Shopping. What do you do? Dance filthily in weddings. In shadi, in weddings, the dance is all nonsensical. Uh, You drink alcohol and dance. In daytime you say, oh, I admire Bhagavad Gita. This is what Krishna will bring forward, division of faith. Mm, What sort of creatures are we? So, admiration really does not help. It is good, okay, but we need to go beyond admiration, put it into practice. For that, we need inspiration, we need some role model, we need some visionary figure in front of us. Uh, So, we all are influenced only by the modes of material nature, embodied soul, acquired from previous lives, so deep rooted in our conscious and subconscious mind, heavily deep rooted what? Material bodily identity, material desires, attachment. This is why we carry so much fear. Now in sadhana, we have to go very deep, very, very deep, chitta deep, heart deep. So currently, everyone carries faith. Uh, everyone carries faith, and the faith is in the modes of passion, modes of material nature. The modes also influence our faith very much. Hmm? And let us see a bit more in what mode, what sort of faith one builds it up. So, text 3, Deepti can read translation purport. Sattvanurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddhamayo ayam purusho yo yat shraddha cha sa eva sa.
Translation: O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various moods of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the mood he has acquired. Purport: Every, Everyone has a particular type of faith, regardless of what he is, but his faith is considered good, passionate, or ignorant according to the nature he has acquired. Thus, according to his particular type of faith, one associates with certain persons. Now, the real fact is that every living being, as is stated in the 15th chapter, is originally a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one is originally transcendental to all the moods of material nature, but when one forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and come into contact with the material nature in conditional life, he generates his own position by association with the different varieties of material nature. The resultant artificial faith and existence are only material, although one may be conducted by some impression or some conception of life. Originally, he is nirguna or transcendental. Therefore, one has to become cleansed of the material contamination that he has acquired in order to regain his relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is the only path back without fear, Krishna consciousness. If one is situated in Krishna consciousness, then the path is guaranteed for his elevation to the perfectional stage. If one does not take this path of self realization, then he surely be conducted by the influence of the modes of nature. The word Shraddha or faith is very significant in this verse. Shraddha or faith originally comes out of the mode of goodness. One's faith may be in a demigod or some created god or some mental concoction. One's strong faith is supposed to be productive of works of material goodness. But in material conditional life, no works are completely purified. They are mixed. They are not in pure goodness. Pure goodness is transcendental. In purified goodness, one can understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As long as one's faith is not completely in purified goodness, the faith is subject to contamination by any of the modes of material nature. The contaminated modes of material nature expand to the heart. Therefore, according to the position of the heart in contact with a particular mode of material nature, one's faith is established. It should be understood that if one's heart is in the mode of goodness, his faith is also in mode of goodness. If his heart is in the mode of passion, his faith is also in the mode of passion. And if his heart is in the mode of darkness, illusion, his faith is also thus contaminated. Thus, we find different types of faith in this world, and there are different types of religions due to different types of faith. The real principle of religious faith is situated in the mode of pure goodness, but because the heart is tainted, we find different types of religious principles. Thus, according to different types of faith, there are different kinds of worship. O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We associate with the mode we are in. Hmm? Says in the Parapatna and translation. So we associate with the mode we are in. The mode, if we live in mode of passion, then we associate with everything passion oriented, people and items. And if we live in mode of ignorance, then we associate with people in mode of ignorance and items. If we live in mode of goodness, then we associate with people in mode of goodness and items. And if we live in the uh, transcendental mode, Then we associate. So it is those who are in transcendental mode. If we come in contact with them, then they can pull us up. Uh, On our own, we cannot be pulled out. No. If we come in contact with them, those who are in transcendental mode, then we could be pulled out. Now, what does dharma mean? Sanatan dharma. Na? Krishna consciousness is what? Sanatan dharma. Sanatan means eternal. Hmm? Eternal occupation of one's constitutional position. That is Krishna consciousness. Dharma means what? One's natural disposition, one's natural position, one's natural functioning duty. Nature, natural duty, natural functioning, natural nature. So Sanatan Dharma, Krishna consciousness is Sanatan Dharma, one's eternal occupation of loving devotional service, loving and serving Krishna. So Dharma means what? The very fabric which maintains, the very thread or fabric or sanctity. Dharma means that holds its constitutional position, integrity. So, like for water, what is the dharma of water? Liquidity is one of its dharma. As in its nature is it is liquid. And what is its occupational duty? The occupational duty of water is to quench one's thirst, hmm, to satisfy one's thirst. Now, if I'm drinking something liquid, but if it is not quenching my thirst, then it can be anything but pure water or but water. If I'm drinking something and I'm still thirsty, then it can be anything but water or pure water. And if it is not liquid, then it is anything but water. Like ice. Ice is what? Condensed water, right? Huh? Frozen, condensed, frozen, huh? Concentrated in a way, say. So that, so we don't call ice as water. We call water as water, ice as ice. Hmm? Likewise, Prabhupada gives these examples in his writings, teachings. Fire. What is the nature of fire? To give heat. If it is not giving me heat or warmth, it is not fire, no? And that is his duty. Is what nature is what? Heat and light. Duty is what? To give warmth. And if it is not giving us this, then it is not fire. It could be anything but fire. Chili. What is the nature of chili? Chalna. To give us perspiration, sweat. Huh? And if it is not making me sweat, then it is not chili. Huh? So likewise, what is our human being's nature? What is our human being's constitutional position? See, every item and every species in this world are rightly situated in their dharma, rightly situated in their occupation, in their place, except us humans. Huh? Except us humans. A cow never eats meat, will starve and die, say, but won't eat meat. A lion will never eat grass, will also starve and die, but never eat grass. Everyone is nicely in their own nature, say, proper. Us humans, we like to go beyond our realms. We like to act smart and we struggle. So likewise, we need to understand. We know what is the nature of matter and what is the nature of other living entities, other species, animals, body, plant body. But likewise, what is my real nature? What is my real duty? Real meaning eternal. Our real nature, our real duty, eternal nature duty is to love and serve. Service is always done of superior, who is worshipable. Hmm? We serve them only who are worshipable. So, our humans' duty is what? To love and serve unconditionally, without any motivation, without any interruption, unconditionally. Now, this sort of faith we have to develop. This level of faith we have to develop. Currently, we are in different levels of faith. Rajogun oriented, passion oriented, or ignorance or knowledge oriented. And now we have to develop a faith completely transcendental, beyond the modes. And as they say, na, we are who we associate with. So the modes of material nature we associate with, the sort of food we eat, the sort of people we spend time with, the sort of music we listen to, the sort of job we do, that is what we become. And our faith also, the mode we live in, associate with, that faith we will be attracted to that faith. And Krishna consciousness is what? It is the faith of love, pure love. Now, through good association, we have to transform our faith from wherever stage, ignorance, passion, or goodness, to transcendental mode, transcendental goodness altogether. So, our past has a huge role to play, huge role to play, na? Because of past only, na, our previous lives, what faith, the mode of nature we associated with, that sort of faith we have developed, and that is what we will be carrying forward. But how to break this journey? Past has a big, strong say, but how to come out of it? By protecting the present moment. If we have a good association, good inspiring association in front of us, then the past will have no longer a say. Hmm. Past won't be much relevant if we have protected our present. And astrologically, the future could be something. Hmm. Astrologically, the future could be receiving money or receiving loss, getting a job, not getting a job. huh? But Krishna consciously speaking, if I maintained good devotee association, then I would be able to go above that result, whatever good or bad. Or even if good comes or bad comes, I will be calm with either of them. I won't be getting carried away. And all this comes by protecting the present moment, uh, engaging myself in sadhana, daily sadhana, reading, hearing, chanting by good association of devotees. Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comments? Hmm. People has a question, okay. Hmm. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So, did anyone hear the question? Deepti, Rena, Sanuja? Sure.
No, not really.
Okay. So the question is, in this world we see not just India, outside of India also, a human is taken to be God and worshipped like God, and later on, what do we discover? Oh, God slept in the bathroom, uh, and sort of broke his knee, and NHS is coming to help God out. Hmm. So, question is then when we take shelter of some divine personality, and we might still carry that fault in that divine personality as well. We might be seeing that okay, he also slept in the bathroom. Hmm. So how do we not go into this sort of mentality? This is the question, right? Yeah, yeah, to view them as material. So Bhagavatam teaches us na martya buddhi. Hmm? Sarva dev mayo guru. Uh, all demigods reside in my spiritual master. Hmm. And to have Martya Buddhi in spiritual master is a heinous thing. It is Guru Avagya Guru Dro. It is an aparad. Uh, When we sing Namaprad, there are 10 Namaprad, right? What is the third Namaprad? To disobey the orders of the spiritual master, also to consider the spiritual master as an ordinary human being. Hmm? So when we think that, okay, oh, this spiritual master, look, he's so fat or so thin, something, anything like that, anything material, mundane, then we will be yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya aprasadan nagati kutopi. Hmm? So by harboring any such mentality towards a spiritual master, that no, no, my spiritual master, any such comparison mentality is not good in Krishna consciousness. There is no scope for comparative mentality that my Siksha Guru, my Diksha Guru is better than that Siksha Guru, that Diksha Guru, or not better than him or her. Such comparison is no scope in Krishna consciousness. And if we are intended entertaining any of such comparisons, then our Bhakti Lata Beej will be burning out, drying out. This is why now we see some Vaishnavas, some devotees, they could be very good in japa, but they still struggle to advance very much. Or they do not do any services, they do not do any Vaishnav seva, and they will do japa, and once japa done, they will go into sinning. Hmm? Or if not into sinning, breaking the regulative principles, but then still they will be living like a karmi loose life. And they can still chant 16 rounds. There are some who would still be able to chant, but no progress. Why? Because previously or even in this life, they would have committed Vaishnava Aparadh. Uh, Vaishnava Aparadh. And amongst Vaishnava Aparadh, Guru Aparadh is very heavy. But because in previous lives they had this faith, they associated with devotees, so that devotional is coming about, okay, chant, you can still chant, hmm, but no stamina to read, no stamina to listen, no stamina to do any practical services. So these are all very offensive mentality or offensive acts altogether, and we should refrain. Now, how do we not come up with such mentality is the real question. Yeah. How do we not come up? So we do not come up when we again associating with them such personalities, studying scriptures, doing japa, and trying to see them personality in do they speak the message of the scriptures or not. Spiritual master is one who is a spiritual master. One is a spiritual master who is giving us no less than what Mahaprabhu is giving. Hmm? Namo Mahavadanyay Krishna Prem Pradayate, right? Krishnaya Krishna, how does it go? Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishanama. So Mahavadane Krishna Prem Pradayatana. That is the Mahavadanya of Mahaprabhu. Magnanimity. So a spiritual master, he should be giving no less than what Mahaprabhu is giving. So when we see some personality, spiritual master is a divine personality, na? Sarvadev Mayo Guru or Martya Buddhi. This is all Martya Buddhi. Martya means material Buddhi. uh, in spiritual master, thinking him to be ordinary personality, mundane ordinary personality, subject to the modes of material nature, that he snores. Uh, all these are offensive mentality. Now, how to not have this mentality is the real question. And thing is, when we study scriptures and when we associate with such personalities and we see Guru Sadhu Shastra, are they in one line? Hmm? Is he giving the same message what scriptures are telling? Hmm? And is he living the same message what scriptures are telling? And how much does he resonate with me? So when we see how elevated my spiritual master is, that will be my elevation. Once Progress in bhakti is directly proportional to one's devotee association. Directly proportional. So much so, one's progress in bhakti is directly proportional to one's association with one's Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru. And devotee association is okay, Vaishnava Seva, Vaishnava Sangh, overall. But even in that, how do we associate with Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru? Huh? An association means Pujyata and Priyata both. Pujyata means worship, awe and reverence. And Priyata, dearness, fondness, lovingness, friendship. They both have to be there, both. So once I am in friendship with someone, then I won't find such faults. So that friendship is extremely important. In good friendship, one would not betray or one would not exploit. There could be awe and reverence, but yet I might exploit someone. But if I have become a friend, na, means in heart, if I have a heart to heart connection, then I won't be exploiting. A real bhakti is what? To love, it's a challenge. The real challenge is, can I love Krishna more than I love myself? This is the real challenge for us. Can we love Krishna the more than what we love ourselves? Krishna actually loves us more than what we love ourselves. Krishna does that, definitely. And so much so to Brajvasis, to surrendered pure devotees, eternal associates of Krishna, he loves them more than he loves himself. Hmm. So now can I love Krishna more than what I love myself? Can I think of loving Krishna more than what I love myself? Leave a bit of inactuality, but can I think? Can I desire? Can I pray to love Krishna more than I love myself? So with that sentiment, if I can associate with devotees, hmm, then I will never find fault. Then I won't have a trouble. See, husband and wife in good love, then they tolerate. And for us, it is not about tolerating such things. No, such things won't at all appear any mundane or material to us. Hmm. We should never think, okay, oh, say some divine personality got fever, oh, some purification there for him. That is stupidity. To think that, okay, my spiritual master is going through some purification. Stupidity. No, he's purified. He's completely purified. He's completely pure. So these thoughts wouldn't come up when we strike a relationship. That relationship has to be not just awe and reverence, has to be a loving relationship. And when we see that is the spiritual master speaking the same message of the scripture, is he giving us what scripture is giving? And is he for himself living by that? Hmm? And by having that understanding and all, then we will never find fault. No, we wouldn't be able to see fault. For a simple hearted person, he cannot see fault. And someone who is crooked only will be able to see faults. Again, seeing fault doesn't mean that we close our eyes and say, okay, there's no fault. Mm, no one is at fault. No. We still see fault and accordingly we associate with them from that distance, closeness, or whatever distance. We see fault, but we do not become judgmental or critical. We do not become like the judge. But seeing fault doesn't mean that, okay, we do not be smart enough or to see fault. Otherwise, we see fault and yet we associate with that, then we are not protecting ourselves. Does that somewhat answer your question? Hmm. So if we see some divine personality is falling sick, okay, he is fallen sick. So what should message should we take from that? What learning, teaching should we take from that? What is our thought process behind that? That for myself, falling sick, it is for my purification, but someone who I consider as a divine personality, and if he falls sick, then what learning and message should I take from them? Uh, So, they all are leaving behind trails of learnings for us, trails of teachings, learning, wisdom, attachment, surrender, all these things they are leaving behind. Samasritas ye pada pallava plavam. Mahat padam punya yasho murare. Bhavam buddhir padam padam yad vipatam natesham. So them they are leaving behind, like it says na Shrimad Bhagavatam 10:14-57. Lord Brahma says this, that liberated souls, they cross over the material ocean and they leave the boat behind for us. So likewise, some divine personality, if he or she say falls sick and bed rest for a week or a month, then they are teaching us through their behavior and example altogether how to deal with such things in life. Like Parikshit Maharaj, na, he taught us that when cursed, how to handle, how to live. Na. Prahlad Maharaj, when being tortured, how to move on, how to perform bhakti when being tortured. Dhruva Maharaj, when being neglected, how to perform bhakti, huh, how to carry. Gajendra teaches us when in trouble, when in difficulty, how to call to Krishna. huh. Manigriva Nalakuvera, when pride and intoxicated, what not to do. First of all, not to get into pride and intoxication. So this is for how, for us to take the message and how to, because we will also be problems will be knocking our doors, problems are knocking our doors, but if we do not know, if we have not seen someone and if we have not known how did he or she cope up with it, how can we? In general, na, in society, we ask, oh, did you apply for a passport? So what did you do? How did you fill that form? How did you answer that question? Next time, when we come across some trouble, then yes, this is how to go and all. So for us, yes, it is purification, but we should not dare to say, okay, such divine personality, and he's getting purified there. No, it's contradictory. huh? If it is very contradictory, and I see someone as elevated, I see someone as senior, I see someone as advanced, I see someone as realized, and then I say what? Okay, he's having some tough time in bhakti. He's having challenging time. He's being tested now, or his prarabdha and all is coming through. No, not like that. He's suffering the reactions of his previous sinful lives. Whatever he was supposed to, he's going through now. Some purification for him. No, these are all Krishna's internal. Like Prabhupada, na, Krishna says, na, I took away all the money. Prabhupada said, na, he took away everything. So it's not like okay for them divine personality. Okay, what is that is the learning. How Krishna will deal with us, then how do we follow? So for us, we should always we are learners till the end of our last breath, say, and if we can remain like that, that's the answer. Okay, let us see. Any other thoughts, questions, or comments? Yajante satvika devan yaksharakshamsi रक्षांसि राजसा प्रेतान् भूतगणांश्चान्ये यजन्ते तामसा जना. Read sweet translation purport.
So translation: men in the mood of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mood of passion worship the demons, and those in the mood of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Robert, in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead describes different kind of worshippers according to their external activities. According to scriptural injunction, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipable. But those who are not very conversant with or faithful to scriptural injunctions worship different objects. According to their specific situation in the moods of material nature, in the moods of material nature. Those who are situated in goodness generally worship the demigods. The demigods include Brahma, Shiva, and others such as Indra, Chandra, and the sun god. There are various demigods. Those in goodness worship a particular demigod for a particular purpose. Similarly, those who are in the mood of passion worship the demons. We recall that during the Second World War, a man in Calcutta worshipped Hitler because thanks to that war, he had amassed a large amount of wealth by dealing in the black market. Similarly, those in the mood of passion and ignorance generally select a powerful man to be God. They think that anyone can be worshipped as God and that the same result will be obtained. Now it is clear described here that those who are in the mood of passion worship and create such gods, and those who are in the mood of ignorance in darkness worship dead spirits. Sometimes people worship at the tomb of some dead man. Sexual service is also considered to be in the mood of darkness. Similarly, in remote villages in India, there are worshippers of ghosts. We have seen that in India, the lower class people sometimes go to the forest, and if they have knowledge that a ghost lives in the tree, they worship that tree and offer sacrifices. These different kinds of worship are not actually God worship. God worship is for persons who are transcendentally situated in pure goodness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.323, it is said, Satvamaha Vishuddhama Vasudeva Shabditam. When a man is situated in a pure goodness, he worships Vasudeva. The purpose is that those who are completely purified of the material modes of nature and who are transcendentally situated can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The impersonalists are supposed to be situated in a mood of goodness, and they worship 5 kinds of demigods. They worship the impersonal Vishnu from in the material world, which is known as philosophized Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the impersonalists, because they do not ultimately believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, imagine that the Vishnu form is just another aspect of the impersonal Brahman. Similarly, they imagine that Lord Brahma is the impersonal form in the material mood of passion. Thus, they sometimes describe 5 kinds of gods that are worshipable. But because they think that the actual truth is impersonal Brahman, they dispose of all worshipable objects at the ultimate end. In conclusion, the different qualities of the material moods of nature can be purified through the association with persons who are transcendental, who are of transcendental nature. Translation again. Men in the mood of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mood of passion worship the demons. And those in the mood of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits.
See, we are heavily covered by the moods. Heavily, we live, we eat, sleep, drink, everything in the mood. So worship also in mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Now, those who are in mode of goodness worship the demigods. Still, it is good, no? In the sense, goodness means what? Freedom from the influence of passion and ignorance is goodness. Passion worship means worshipping demons or worshipping something for short term gains, quick gains. Hmm? And ignorance worshipping ghost and spirit. In Kali Yuga, actually, it is proper hodgepodge also, proper khichdi also. In Kali Yuga, we are after just in Hindi a bit they say ना अपना काम बनता भाड़ में जाए जनता. Means, uh, as long as my job is done, I don't care for anyone or anything else. It is a reality. So the worship also in today's world is within mixed modes, heavy within mixed modes. And mixed modes of goodness, mixed modes of passion and ignorance, largely mixed modes of passion and ignorance only. One of the real problem is we do not follow scriptures. We do not read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. We go to places of pilgrimage. But what? We go temple, we take darshan, and we take some prasad from pujari, pandit. Hmm? And then we come out. And as once we come, we go in temple, stay there for what? 5, 10, 15 minutes. How long can we afford to take darshan? Na? Not so long. And then we take some prasad, maybe sit 10, 15 minutes, attend arti, do some puja, and then come out of the temple. And what do we do once we are out of the temple? We go to the street food vendor, na papdi chaat we want then. We'll go to the next street food vendor and what? Eat golgappa papdi chaat. Or we'll go where? Shopping, buying some items and all. And we take this as a duty. Oh, I went to a site of pilgrimage and I did my duty. I I told that I will come and visit and I have done. But our heart and attachment is where? In papri chaat and sari and things like that. That is not a real worship. That is not. That is very goodness, passion, ignorance, proper sort of within heavy modes worship only. Real worship is out of love. That is real worship, where love is at the center. And love means what? Joy of the beloved, pleasure of the beloved, when that is aimed for. That is real worship. And it is Krishna consciousness teaches us to bypass this fear based worship or desire based worship, or duty based worship, and come to the platform of love, love based worship. They say what? Under a fox's hole, no one is a atheist? Something like that, no? So, in First World War, Second World War, tunnels were made when bombs were going on. And I think something like called fox's hole or tunnel, something. So, thing is, soldiers and people, when the war was on, they were taking shelter under those tunnels. And everyone was praying. Everyone was praying. Oh God, help us, help us, help us provide food, provide some assurance, some shelter. Huh? See, when we fall down na, in general, what comes from our mouth? समझो दीप्ति बताओ हर्षा गिर गए we suddenly fall down. What comes from our mouth? What do we say? Rainus Pip, when we suddenly fall down accidentally, what would come from our mouth? We will say something. We cannot just remain silent. We are humans, na? We have to we react, respond. We just cannot stay silent. What do we norm? What one would call? What are the things one would call? Say you cannot repeat them. What? Okay. See, one would say, "Oh my God." Hmm. In Hindi, is na, "Hey Bhagwan," or yeah, in Hindi See, one of the things is, "Hey Bhagwan," they may say, "Oh my God," or "Mummy." No, they will call for their mother. Uh, that hmm, this is mode of goodness, and someone in mode of passion will what? Swearing words, foul words, na abusive language. Any world, any culture, na India, Australia, America, wherever, and people speak swearing language only heavily. So, accidentally, suddenly fall down, they will swear, give a abusive word, swearing language, naughty word, naughty language, say. And some gentlemen, "Oh my God," or atheist also. Now see, in war time, atheist, war time, they will straight away call for God only. And someone who is ignorant completely, he would just swear or least bothered. So, uh, ignorant means he's completely lazy and crazy. He doesn't matter. He's completely off altogether. Mm. For him, ignorant means whatever is happening is good, whatever happened good, whatever will happen will be good. Nothing to worry. I have to do nothing. Passionate is who just is active. I want to do something, do something, do something. Good or bad, I don't care. I want to do something. And goodness is one who puts thought, one who puts heart, and then acts. So our modes of worship, everything is this in different modes only. And those who worship demigods, they are still considered to be in the mode of goodness. Or those who are in the mode of goodness worship demigods. Mm. But us transcendental practitioner, na, for us, even that is like very off-putting, very off-putting. Someone worshipping demigods and someone taking a demigod to be a wholesome authority. Those in the mode of goodness worship demigods, meaning they worship some particular demigod with a selfless act, as a selfless duty, out of duty proper. There would be some motive of some reciprocation or some motive for some benefit out of it, but heavily driven by selfless act. Then it is mode of goodness. But us Krishna conscious practitioners, transcendental practitioners, it is very off-putting, and we do not find any interest then. Hmm. Previously, we may be worshipping some demigods, but if in our worship of those demigods, if we were worshipping very unconditional level, or to a large extent unconditional, unmotivated out of love, then that demigod will help us, point us towards the bhakti of Krishna, towards the service of Krishna, towards loving devotional service. That demigod will facilitate, arrange what? Further devotee association, to give us some devotee association and help us come in the practice of Krishna consciousness. And one then, when gradually one would then start chanting japa and reading, hearing, associating with devotees, going to holy places, pilgrimage, then the demigod worship will fade or side away naturally. He will leave that. Hmm. Worship is not encouraged. Respect is encouraged. There is a difference between respect and worship. It's not like we disrespect demigods. No, that is offensive. Respect should be there. Mahaprabhu says, no, respect everyone. And demigods are very respected. They are more high to us than in position. They are more cultured and all. But we are after Braj Bhakti, our attachment. Hmm. After that, which demigods are bereft of. So we do not want to worship them. Respect, of course, yes. Worship is for Radha Krishna only. Any thoughts, questions, or comments? Yes, please. Hmm. Hmm. So, if someone is worshipping a demigod with a heavy desire of material gain, would this be in the mode of passion? Hmm? It is still in mixed modes. Mixed modes. Goodness, why? Because worshipping some demigods means we'll be following some religious doctrine, some religious principle. There will be some fasting and things involved. At least he's following some authority. Hmm. And demigods are, yeah, they are said, na, they are like agents of Krishna who are looking after the cosmic affairs. So he's worshipping at least someone who is somewhat closer to Krishna, or Krishna has respect for demigods. But if he's heavily driven by some particular material desire, then it is mixed modes. Na? Some mode of goodness there and mode of passion there. Heavy mixed modes. But if he becomes loyal, thing is to be loyal, duty bound to a particular demigod, then that demigod definitely helps point towards Krishna Bhakti or arranges some devotee association. And from there on, naturally one will give up that demigod worship and take into Krishna worship, provided he is in good association. Likewise, if someone is worshipping demons but very unconditional state, uh, very with purity and not asking much desires, then yes, material nature will facilitate. You, like, we all have this good quality, just it needs directing towards Krishna. Or when we direct our qualities, whatever good or bad, whatever substance is there, when we direct it towards Krishna, we'll find more better in our qualities. That would be more worth. So we all have got that potential. It's just where do we put it? Where do we channelize it? So someone who is worshipping very dutifully, so material nature takes into that consideration and arranges for Krishna Bhakti. There are many celebrities, film stars, sports stars, politicians. They are so punctual with their schedule and takes on so many, some say, services. So we should learn from them personalities, discipline, dedication, all this, and use them in Krishna's service. Use them in strengthening our Krishna consciousness. Does that answer? Worship of ghosts. Huh? There are people, worship of demons, worship of uh, ghosts, and say worship of demons. What does it mean, worship of demons? Actually, we see na, in Kali Yuga again, by and large, very hodgepodge. Hmm. We wouldn't find someone who is a perfect or a very loyal worshipper of demigod, who is a perfect or loyal or very pakka, very fixed up, convinced, proper, somewhat worshipper of demons and worshipper of ghosts and spirits as well. But demonic worship is again worshipping some personality, hmm, with some demonic agenda, mentality, some ill dark worship, worshipping some personality, wherein we want to be bring an effect of fear or hatred or something in society. That we want to eradicate scriptures, we want to eradicate some form of compassion, religion, practice. Hmm. So worshipping them sort of such personalities of with that motive is worshipping demons. Demons again does not necessarily mean person with dark skin, say color and shabby looking and horns and all. Hmm. Of course, demons are not good looking or uh, and they are not good in their speech also. Very tough in their speech, very tough in their looks. Very with every sense they are very tough. Hmm. And when we worship for such demoniac mentality to cause harm in society, that is worshipping the demons in that mode of passion. wherein we want to bring harm in society, not setting a good culture, not setting a good emotions in society. Them sort of worshipper which is whimsical, man-made, imaginative, not following rules and regulations, scriptures, not following some regulations here. And the motive of worship wherein it is to cause harm. That's mode of passion worship and worshipping demoniac mentality or demons. That's the hmm. Worship compare that to the worship of mode of ignorance. Worship in the mode of ignorance is again very lazy and crazy worship. Not doing worship, even worshipping not properly, and not worshipping someone who is proper. So the manner of worship is also improper, and the person of worship is also very improper. That is worship in the mode of ignorance, wherein I worship someone and the object also of my worship and the paraphernalia of my worship is all everything in the mode of ignorance. And the outcome also I want is all ignorance only. That is worship in the mode of ignorance. They all carry some sentiment, some devotion, because without devotion there is no worship. But it is all wrongly channelized in 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 a direction which is not at all helpful for the advancement elevation of the soul proper. And for us, Krishna consciousness is so lofty, say, transcendental worship. For us, even someone like in the mode of goodness, worshipping demigods or doing any sort of puja and all, but if it is not within the Sankirtan Yajna of Mahaprabhu, it is not at all appealing. No. We practice Krishna consciousness not to become Pandit. Pandit is someone who is mode of goodness, who understands he is not this body, he is a spirit soul, a bit scholarly, but we are not here to become Pandit. We are here to become Bhaktas, to devotees. And anything less than that, we wouldn't find our interest in it. And it's all a bit messy also. Does that answer? Okay, any other thoughts, questions, or comments? Okay, I suppose we leave it here then and we'll continue hopefully tomorrow. We'll see from text 5 onwards. Mm, Thank you for your time, patience, and encouragement. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.